It's an extraordinary story, isn't it? How often does something like this happen? The MPs taking on KCC or any council?
Well, it's a bit of what we call blue on political terminology, and it is quite an outspoken, uncompromising letter that the MPs have sent to the County Council leader, Paul Carter, and very interesting sentences in it, talking about more public transport cuts so soon after a well-publicised pay increase for councillors, and we'll all remember the furore that caused. So they're not holding back in the letter in terms of their criticism and suggestion that KCC look again at this proposal.
And how much do you think it will sway them?
That remains to be seen. Sometimes there is a bit of tension between KCC and their MPs. We don't know what Paul Carter's had to say about it yet, but I'm sure he'll issue a response soon.
But do you think that it will make a difference? Do you think that Paul Carter will be speaking to lots of people behind closed doors tonight?
Well, possibly. I imagine he's a bit upset about it if I was him to get a letter like that. I mean, his argument will be that it's all very well the MP saying this, but government has been cutting back their grants for several years now under the austerity regime, and his likely response is to say, well, get us some more money.
But there's 2 ministers on this list as well. That's got to be some serious pressure on the council. They've got to really take note, surely?
Yeah, well, ministers are also local MPs as well, we mustn't forget that. So in a sense that's not unusual, but I think the fact that 2 ministers have agreed to sign this letter is definitely worth something.
And Damien Green this week, when he stood in for the Prime Minister at PMQs, Rosie Duffield brought it up. And he stood up and said, it's got nothing to do with us. It's not for us to be telling what the KCC are doing.
He said that councils had to live within their means, and living within their means because we've not given them enough money. And in a sense, there are invidious choices to be made by local authorities, but I think Kent County Council has rushed this a little bit, and I'm not sure that it's got all the I's dotted and T's crossed, or the T's crossed and the I's dotted.
And just a little bit on Damien Green, it's been another difficult day for him with the accusations about the inappropriate material on his computer. There's been more information about that today. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, there's another former Met police officer who has come forward saying that when he was part of an investigation in 2008, he discovered pornographic material on a computer in Mr. Green's office, not necessarily on his computer. Damien Green obviously has again reiterated that it's nothing to do with him. He hasn't downloaded any pornography, watched any pornography, and that's his line, and he's sticking to it. But I think the longer this goes on, the more difficult it becomes. I think there's a sense in which the Cabinet inquiry, which is underway, really has to come to some kind of finish fairly soon if he's not to be at risk.